Tonight, on the world's most amazing videos, a fireman fights for his life when a fuel tank suddenly explodes. Plus, a routine traffic stop erupts in a hail of gunfire. And a plane crashes into the runway and breaks apart. Then, a speedboat flips into the air, sending a husband and wife flying for their lives. And a drowning woman cries out for help as a raging river threatens to engulf her. These are the incredible true life stories of people who face their most desperate hour and live to tell about it. Everything you are about to see is real. Real people, real danger, real excitement. Get ready to experience the thrill of a lifetime. You are about to witness the world's most amazing videos.
Honolulu, Hawaii. A tank filled with more than 600,000 gallons of diesel fuel explodes. The blaze threatens to consume everything in its path. If the other nearby tanks catch fire, the blast could claim thousands of lives.
That tank fire was only about a mile or a mile and a half away from downtown Honolulu, and the potential for a huge disaster was there.
More than 100 firefighters close in to battle the inferno. Desperate to stop the flames from spreading, they soak the tanks with water and fire-retardant foam.
Hey!
But the heat is so intense it melts the pipes. Streams of leaking gasoline spontaneously combust into deadly pools of fire. Despite the life-threatening conditions, firefighters Ken Yamamoto and Daniel Bishop fight to control the flames before they spread.
The fire was tremendous. It was a huge column of smoke and flames that went up at least 200 feet or more.
Braving the intense heat, Daniel sprays a steady stream of water onto the blaze. Nearby, Ken and another firefighter try to extinguish a burning pipeline. Suddenly, the spilled fuel ignites.
Hey, come over here! Hey, come on! Get over here! Hurry up! Hurry up, guys, burning!
When Ken turns to flee, he falls into the flaming gasoline and is immediately engulfed. Now he's on fire.
He looked like a stuntman in the movie. He was just a running ball of fire. And I was trying to redirect my whole stream towards him to try and put it out.
But water alone can't save him. As Ken crawls across the scalding pipes, a fellow firefighter uses his gloved hands to douse the flames. Ken is spared a horrific death.
All I recall was that I was going to die and my fate was to burn to death.
After what seems like an eternity, Ken makes it to safety. He's drenched with water to cool the second-degree burns on his head and back. After witnessing Ken's brush with death, Daniel never thought he'd see him alive again.
When I saw him get engulfed by that ball of fire, my guts were just churning. Everything inside of me was telling me that I was going to lose my best friend.
His terrifying ordeal behind him, Ken Yamamoto is grateful to be alive.
I reflect back on that situation. It was just really hard for me to believe that how close I came to death.
Speedboat racers put their lives on the line every time they climb behind the wheel. Sometimes they win, and sometimes they lose more than just the race. Snake River, Idaho, site of the World Jet Boat Final. The first few races go off without incident. But this raging river is about to turn even more treacherous for the husband and wife team of Gordon and Bonnie Johnston. At the starting gun, they rocket down the straightaway, but they'll never reach the finish line. That's them hurtling through the air at more than 70 miles per hour. The couple is barreling down the river at a record pace until their speedboat hits a wave, launching it airborne and catapulting them into the river. It's difficult to believe anyone could survive a crash of this magnitude. Rescuers scan the water, searching for the Johnstons. Then there's a sign of life. Gordon waves his arm in the air as he struggles to keep his unconscious wife above the water. The river threatens to drag them out of reach of the rescue team and into the path of the other boats. This racer is horrified when he realizes just how close he comes to running over the injured couple. Moments later, the rescue team is finally able to reach the Johnstons and pull them to safety. Looking back, Gordon and Bonnie know they've been rewarded with something more precious than a trophy: their lives. Tyler, Texas. A patrol car's dashboard camera rolls as State Trooper Jasmine Andreasen interrogates the driver of this vehicle.
This car had come by and we checked him at 64 miles an hour, and that's posted 50-mile-an-hour speed zone, and we didn't have any problem stopping him.
Her partner, Trooper Barry Goins, questions the passenger of the vehicle. Both officers believe that these suspects have something to hide. In risky situations like this, teamwork is essential.
And you always trust your gut feeling. And my gut feeling was not right on both these guys.
Goins asks the passenger to step out of the car.
Okay, we'll stand out here.
Ain't it against the law for me to stand outside?
No, it's against law for you not to do what I told you to do. Come on out here. We can do it the easy way or we can do it the hard way. Which way you want to go?
All of a sudden, the routine traffic stop turns into a cop's worst nightmare. The passenger pulls out a gun.
Don't move, don't move, don't move, lady. Don't move, lady.
The troopers unload their weapons at the gunman, but he manages to escape into the night.
Shots fired, Omen Road, East Side Drive.
When backup units arrive on the scene, Goins struggles to describe the near-fatal encounter.
There's a passenger right front. He had his damn gun on. We got out and held this to my throat like this. Don't move, I'll kill you, don't move.
Which way you want to go?
Watch this chilling moment again. What the officers don't know is that the passenger is an escaped convict. He jumps out of the car, shoving his gun to the startled trooper's throat.
Oh, don't move, man, don't move.
And as he came out, he had it immediately on my throat before I could even hardly say a word or even touch my weapon. I immediately dropped my flashlight and tried to get my sidearm out, but it was too quick. It's just instantaneous. He had me dead to rights.
Andreasen quickly draws her weapon to protect her partner.
This is the one decision that could make or break the rest of your life. And you're with a partner, so you know that this is the one decision that's going to make or break the rest of his life.
Goins sees his partner's gun and leaps into action.
I had to make some kind of move because I knew I was going to die.
Don't move, lady.
When Andreasen pulls her weapon, Goins knocks the convict's gun to the ground. Amazingly, the felon manages to escape the hail of gunfire. Andreasen apprehends the driver.
Get down on the ground!
But the escaped gunman doesn't get far. Within an hour, he's caught and returned to jail. After viewing the video, a jury takes only 30 minutes to reach a verdict. Guilty. This felon is now serving a life sentence.
Don't move, lady.
This was a terrifying ordeal for Troopers Goins and Andreasen. They credit their teamwork with keeping them alive.
The only reason I stayed alive as long as I did was because I had a partner that night. That's the only reason.
That's what law enforcement's about. I mean, we're human. You know, we're put into situations that are extraordinary, and we can only hope and pray that we make extraordinary decisions to go with the extraordinary circumstances. And this night we did.
Coming up, a man takes his own son hostage and makes a desperate run for the border. Plus, a 12,000-pound killer whale smashes his trainer with a crushing blow. And a plane explodes into a giant fireball. How could anyone possibly survive? Find out when the world's most amazing videos returns.
This is a 459 suspect. We're following an Ford toward AW54 does advise suspect is known to carry a weapon.
Los Angeles, California. A burglary suspect is on the run and heading for the Mexican border.
Number 1 lane, 89 miles an hour.
But this is not your average high-speed chase.
54, roger. Advise there may be an infant in the vehicle.
The driver has kidnapped his 1-year-old son and is holding him hostage. Chopper pilots can see the child's teddy bear in the back of the car. Meanwhile, U.S. Customs Agent Al Morales is busy guarding the border. He has no idea that he is about to play a major role in the police pursuit. The 90-mile-an-hour chase is brought to a halt as the suspect gets caught in heavy traffic.
Back up at the border, all lanes. Take back up at the border.
But he maneuvers around the other cars on the shoulder of the road.
We're on the 5 now, going up the right shoulder at 38 miles an hour.
Fearing for the baby's safety, officers can only follow along as the suspect weaves dangerously in and out of traffic.
Guys, take your time here.
An officer approaches the driver, but he makes a break for it. Another traffic jam stops him just 30 feet short of the border. Police officers rush the car with their guns drawn, demanding that the man hand over the baby and give himself up. But when an officer smashes in a window, the suspect dives into the back seat. Incredibly, the desperate man holds a knife to his own son's throat. But there is no time to wait for a negotiator to arrive. Agent Morales, who has no training in these situations, bravely takes control.
Okay, all systems to the person now. Let's go and get these people back.
I was just talking to him, telling him to hand over the baby, that everything was okay, that nobody was going to hurt him. And he started talking, responding to me.
As Morales begins to reason with the kidnapper, his primary concern is the child's well-being.
He didn't want the baby hurt. That was our goal, to get the baby to safety.
Morales agrees to let the man cross the border on one condition. He must first put down the knife.
After talking to him and negotiating a little bit, he removed it from the baby and put it on himself.
The car door opens and the man emerges, using his son as a human shield. Fearing that there might not be another chance to apprehend him, the police officer blasts the suspect with mace. Fortunately, it misses the baby. But the kidnapper panics. Morales moves closer. The suspect is once again convinced to leave his vehicle. As the men make their way slowly toward the border, the suspect makes his move. Watching again, we can see that a second shot of mace enables Morales to grab the child. Then, an officer with a police dog trips the suspect. The man is quickly captured on Mexican soil. Authorities return the kidnapper to the United States, where charges filed against him include child endangerment and evading arrest. During questioning, he seems strangely unaware of the serious threats he made to his own son's life.
No, at no time was my son in any kind of danger whatsoever. I would have never done anything to my son.
Fortunately, the baby is unharmed. Thanks to the heroic efforts of the police and the bravery of Agent Al Morales, the suspect is now behind bars. Southern California. These magnificent orca whales are the star attraction at this theme park. They entertain the crowd with their spectacular tricks and even pose for occasional pictures. But during this performance, a routine stunt suddenly turns tragic. Take a closer look. You can see a trainer riding one of the enormous beasts. On cue, another whale jumps out of the water, but the timing is off. Instead of leaping over the trainer, the 12,000-pound orca crashes down on top of him. He is crushed by the massive mammal. The trainer suffers numerous injuries, but incredibly, he survives. Although the accident prevents him from working with whales again, he is thankful to have escaped with his life. A plane turns to make its final approach for landing. But when an engine fails, there's big trouble. Farnborough, England. Thousands of spectators have gathered to watch some brand new planes perform in this air show. These cargo planes are demonstrating their specialty, short runway landings. Brad Fowles is the co-pilot on one of the planes.
Everything is working fine at this point. In fact, the show is going along very, very smoothly for us.
Fowles' plane takes off and entertains the crowd with a dazzling display. Until it turns and prepares to land. The plane suddenly encounters a strong tailwind and speeds out of control. Pilot Bill Loverseat tries to slow down, but one of the propellers is jammed. Passenger Eric Lane remembers the desperate moment.
Loverseat said to Fowles, "The controls are not reacting."
The crew faces a no-win situation. If they stay airborne, they risk a mid-air collision. And if they lose control, they'll crash into the crowd below.
There just was not enough altitude remaining for the aircraft to recover.
We were coming down at a hell of a rate.
It was going to crash.
It was really quite apparent that we were all going to be killed.
At the last moment, the pilot manages to pull the plane out of its nosedive.
The timing of the recovery attempt brought us to a level altitude just a second or so before the impact. It was very close.
But disaster cannot be averted. The plane crashes into the runway and bursts into flames.
The impact was so great that all of our senses grayed out for a short period of time.
Spectators are horrified as the plane breaks apart, littering the runway with a smoldering trail of debris.
The first thing that I noticed was the smell of fire.
Fortunately, the fuel tank is nearly empty, so the fire quickly burns itself out. But the men are trapped inside the wreckage, and no one knows if they are alive or dead. Emergency teams race to the crash site, prepared for the worst. They climb into the burnt fuselage and are amazed to find that all three men are alive, but Eric is seriously injured.
The impact broke my ribs and punctured my spleen, and it was Brad's voice that really convinced me that I wasn't dead, and dead people don't hurt as much as I was hurting.
Thanks to some skillful flying, the only damage on the ground is to a car that's been hit by a propeller blade.
Parts of the aircraft landed in front of the crowd, in the crowd, over the crowd's head, and didn't hit one person. It was very, very fortunate. That was the closest I have ever come to dying and the closest I ever want to get to it.
Next up, a state trooper is the victim of a hit-and-run driver. Plus, it's a fireman's worst nightmare when a sudden explosion rips out the side of a building. And a terrified woman is trapped in a raging river. Will she get out alive? Find out when the world's most amazing videos continues.
Working the highways alone at night, police officers face constant danger.
833, 1038.
Sometimes they never see it coming. Atlanta, Georgia.
20 eastbound at 285.
State Trooper Hank Fielding has pulled over the driver of this vehicle for speeding. It appears to be a routine stop.
DC license, please, sir.
The driver, Anthony Barber, is calm and cooperative. His female companion remains inside the car.
Been drinking anything tonight? No, sir. Not a drop. No, sir. Wait right there. Okay.
Trooper Fielding is not convinced. He checks out the man's driver's license and returns with a breathalyzer test.
All right, so once you take a deep breath, blow through the tube until I tell you to stop.
Then the trooper decides to have a look inside the car.
All right. Wait right there just a minute.
But while he's questioning the passenger, the driver steps up behind him.
All right. Sir, I ask you to wait right here, okay? Okay.
But just as the driver moves back behind his vehicle, the speeding car slams into Trooper Fielding at 70 miles per hour.
It scared me. It really did. I couldn't believe what was happening. I mean, you see stuff like that on TV, but you don't ever think it'll happen to you.
I started trying to get up immediately, but I couldn't. My legs were just numb. They had no feeling in them.
Lying in the road, unable to move, the officer's life now rests in the hands of the driver he pulled over.
Go get on the radio and call for help. On the radio? Yeah. Just tell them to send help for 833.
Fielding struggles to remain conscious while Anthony jumps into the patrol car and radios for help.
He was shaking real bad. I thought he was going to go into shock or something.
Anthony grabs a blanket from his trunk to keep the officer warm.
He covered me up, and he stayed there with me and talked to me until other help arrived.
It ain't your fault.
Incredibly, the brutal accident causes only minor injuries. Another look reveals that the outcome could have been much worse. Watch again. It's clear that Anthony was standing directly in the speeding car's path just seconds before it struck the trooper.
Sir, I ask you to wait right here, okay? Okay.
If I hadn't have told him to move and the car would have come, it would have struck him head on and would have probably knocked him into me, more likely killing us both.
Anthony was not arrested. He went home grateful to be alive.
I feel like I dodged the bullet. You know, too many people don't get second chances, but I feel like I got a second chance at life, really.
As for the hit-and-run driver, you can see her stop momentarily after the collision. But then, unbelievably, she drives away.
They just left me there on the side of the road. I mean, they didn't know if I was dead or severely injured or what.
The driver is later found and arrested. But to this day, she has never apologized for causing this near-fatal accident. Istanbul, Turkey. A car has plunged into a flooded river, and these concerned citizens have gathered to rescue the woman trapped inside. The river rises higher and higher around the panic-stricken driver. Onlookers hear her screams over the roar of the rushing water. They know they'll have to act fast. Determined to save her life, they make a desperate attempt to stop the car from being swept downstream. They lasso a rope to one of the car's axles and try to pull it to shore. For a few hopeful seconds, it looks as if she'll be saved. But then, the sheer force of the powerful current pulls the car away from them. It topples over, threatening to drown the helpless woman. Seconds later, the car slams into a tree and turns back over, allowing the rescuers to save her. The woman recovers in a nearby hospital. She will never forget the good Samaritans who banded together to save her life. Lima, Peru. A raging fire in a textile factory belches out clouds of toxic smoke. 2 firefighters valiantly battle the inferno, but they are losing the fight. Suddenly, the wind shifts, engulfing the men in a thick blanket of smoke. They must be pulled away before they suffocate. Just as they are about to reach the ground, they come face to face with every firefighter's worst fear, a backdraft. Without warning, the mighty explosion rips through the wall of the building. The force of the incredible fireball sends the 2 men flying. Their fellow firefighters rush in and drag them to safety. The injured men are carried to a waiting ambulance and treated for 1st and 2nd degree burns. 10 hours later, fire crews finally extinguish the blaze. It's a miracle that these men survived the enormous blast.
Up next, a wild bear trapped at the top of a power pole gets zapped with 7,200 volts of electricity and lives. Plus, a fiery crash sends a driver's hopes for victory up in flames. And a rider is thrown from his motorcycle at 200 miles an hour, but the bike keeps going and going and going. When the world's most amazing videos returns.
Albuquerque, New Mexico. A panicked bear wanders out of the mountains and into town in search of her lost cub. As she runs through residential neighborhoods, people hide indoors, fearful of being attacked. Animal control officers armed with tranquilizer guns corner the bear, but she races up a utility pole to avoid capture.
Just like any wild animal, if it perceives danger, it perceives that it's going to be threatened or hurt, it will attack.
But it's not the people who are at risk, it's the bear. She's sitting dangerously close to high-voltage power lines. One wrong move and she'll be electrocuted. She searches frantically for her cub, unaware that it's already been found and is being protected by the animal control officers. The mother bear is confused and disoriented.
It was just going nuts. It was in a true panic.
A game warden fires a tranquilizer dart to subdue the animal, but it doesn't take effect.
But this particular bear, we feel, was so stressed, so panicked, that those drugs were taking a long time to work.
After nearly an hour, the bear becomes drowsy. It's a heart-wrenching sight as she struggles to keep her balance. Suddenly, the bear loses her grip. She's jolted with 7,200 volts of electricity and falls to the ground. Animal control officers run to her, but they're afraid they'll be too late.
Well, that was it. That bear was dead. We really thought that bear was dead.
But miraculously, she is still breathing. Rescuers rush the animal to a veterinary hospital, determined to save her life and reunite her with her cub.
since that bear was still alive, and bears are really tough animals, that there was a chance that this bear could make it.
A team of specialists administers emergency care to save the animal's life. After weeks of nurturing at a nearby zoo, she makes a full recovery. She's released back into the wild with her cub at her side, and an appropriate new nickname, Sparky. Kansas City, Missouri. This surveillance tape captures two thieves who really know how to take the money and run. The woman on the left, in the official-looking blue uniform, has just walked into this convenience store with the man in black. They tell the clerks that they have come to repair the ATM machine. But before the cashier can ask for identification, the man tells her that the machine must be removed for repairs. So he wheels it out the door on a hand truck with thousands of dollars inside. Meanwhile, the woman in the uniform hands the clerk a sign from the machine and says goodbye. But thanks to this tape, the crooks are caught and convicted for their ill-advised daylight heist. Daredevil Ron Cook lives to break speed records. He's one of the fastest motorcycle riders on Earth.
The sensation of speed is just totally unreal. It's hard to describe. It's like getting shot out of a rocket.
Muroc Dry Lake Bed, California. Ron's goal is to top the 200-mile-per-hour land speed record. If successful, he'll be the all-time champion. As Ron tears across the desert floor, it looks like he's a sure thing to set a new record. But then, he faces the most terrifying moment of his life. Ron loses control of his bike and tries to leap off, but instead he's brutally dragged at 175 miles per hour.
The handlebar was shaking so bad I couldn't hang on any longer, and my thought process at that time was, I'm gonna jump.
But Ron's bootstrap gets caught in the fender of the bike and he can't get free.
And I'm thinking the whole time, I gotta get out of this mess because I'm gonna get ground up. I did not want to get wrapped up in a 500-pound motorcycle tumbling down the lake bed.
The bike drags him 1,000 feet before he is able to free himself. Spectators are stunned to see Ron get up and walk away. The cycle mysteriously continues on without him. Meanwhile, Ron's friend, Patrick Palumbo, has been waiting at the finish line to photograph the record-breaking run.
He crashed at 175 miles per hour, and he walked away from the crash. You know, he was able to get up and walk away. And that alone is just unbelievable.
I thank the Lord that I'm still here with minor injuries, not too bad.
Although shaken by his near-death experience, Ron decides the best thing to do is to get right back on his bike and race again. 2 weeks later, Ron is ready for another run. Once again, he throttles up his cycle to nearly 200 miles per hour.
And I'm just willing. I know this is going to be a record run, and I'm going right through the finish line. Everything's looking good.
But once again, his bike starts to shake violently.
Rider down, everybody move.
Ron can't believe it's possible, but it's true. He's living the same terrifying nightmare all over again.
All of a sudden I hear a loud noise, and I see a cloud of smoke. Pieces flying left and right. I know Ron crashed. I don't know if he's alive, if he's dead, I have no idea.
Ron is violently thrown more than 600 feet.
Quite frankly, I knew he was not going to walk away.
It appears that there is no way he can survive this devastating crash, but he does.
When I finally came to a stop, I was flat on my back looking up at the bright sun and blue sky, and I said, well, am I alive? I didn't know.
During his 5-year racing career, this daredevil had never crashed. But now in just 2 short weeks, he has stared death in the face twice. His injuries are serious. He suffers 3rd-degree burns on his back, a shattered arm, and a broken leg. The veteran racer decides not to tempt fate again.
I escaped death 2 times. I should have died on the second one for sure.
Sadly, Ron's racing days are over, but at least he's alive.
Coming up, a massive wave slams into a sailboat, threatening the lives of its terrified crew. Plus, a driver is engulfed in a raging ball of flames. When the world's most amazing videos continues.
Queensland, Australia. A news helicopter captures dramatic video of a rescue on the high seas. Skipper Malcolm Dixon is in serious trouble. His front sails are shredded, his motor is dead, and he is drifting into treacherous waters. The boat is named after his 2-year-old daughter, Lee, who is huddled below deck. Malcolm sends out an urgent SOS, but the signal is so weak the Coast Guard has difficulty pinpointing his exact location. 2 rescue boats speed to the area, but the first passes right by Malcolm without even seeing him. He struggles to guide his damaged vessel into calmer waters, but it's too late. A 20-foot wave slams into Malcolm's boat, tossing him into the churning sea. Grabbing a safety line, he pulls his way back on board and frantically searches for his daughter. He is relieved to find her below deck, frightened but unharmed. Although the mast has collapsed, Malcolm's battered sloop stays afloat and begins drifting into calmer waters. But nearby, the second rescue boat is getting hammered by the ferocious surf. Suddenly, a gigantic wall of water pounds the boat, flipping it upside down. 2 crewmen are swept into the sea. Incredibly, they manage to fight their way back onto their boat. Now it's the rescuers who need to be rescued. Thankfully, a Coast Guard helicopter arrives on the scene. The pilot carefully maneuvers the chopper into position. One of the crewmen reaches out, but a wave knocks him off balance. The pilot moves in for another try. This time, the man is able to grab hold. Now it's his partner's turn. The pilot lowers the chopper, knowing the boat could sink at any second. The man reaches out and slips. But somehow, he manages to hang on. After several anxious moments, the crewman is helped aboard and lifted to safety. Also safe and sound are Malcolm and his daughter. They are towed to shore by the Coast Guard. Were it not for the courageous efforts of the chopper pilot, this day would have ended in tragedy. The driver of car 41 doesn't know it yet, but tonight his number might be up. He'll find himself in more than just an auto race. He'll be in a race for his life. Hanford, California. 22-year-old Donnie Oliver has driven in more than 500 midget car races in his career. Tonight, everything looks good as he takes an early lead. After 14 laps, Donnie is still near the front of the pack. But then, another driver bumps one of his rear wheels. Donnie's car hits the wall and rolls. He doesn't realize that gasoline is pouring from the wreckage. He wrestles with his safety belt, trying to escape. But Donnie can't get out. And then the gasoline ignites, engulfing him in flames. Finally, he manages to climb out of the car, but the raging fire is starting to burn through his protective suit. At last, emergency crews manage to pull Donnie clear and bring the blaze under control. His father, Jerry, recalls that horrible moment.
When he hit the wall, and the first flip wasn't too bad, but as it was coming over for this, starting on the second, I seen the filler cap blew out of the gas, the fuel tank. And oh, this doesn't look good.
Donnie must remove the steering wheel in order to get out, but unlatching it creates a spark that ignites the fuel. Jerry rushes to his son's aid.
And I was about halfway down, and I heard the crowd scream, and I knew the car had ignited. It's a feeling that you can't explain, especially if it's your son.
Time is running out, and Donnie is in danger of burning alive. After freeing himself, Donnie must crawl through a pool of burning gasoline to safety. Rescue workers douse him with foam to extinguish the flames. To Jerry's relief, his son has made it out alive.
I think the first thing my father said to me was, "It's all right. You're okay. You're out. You know, you're safe now."
When it's your own blood, it's like, it really takes your breath away for a minute.
Miraculously, Donnie suffers only minor burns. He waves to the crowd as he's carried off the track. Donnie knows he was lucky.
I swore I saw a light flash in front of my face. I mean, I thought I was never going to get out.
But Donnie defies the odds and lives to race again.